I bought my dream house with your money. Amanda's laughter echoed through my phone speaker, dripping with smug satisfaction. Thanks for being so trusting with those account details, sis. I guess being the responsible one doesn't always pay off. My name is Sofia Martinez, and at 35, I was standing in my kitchen listening to my sister-in-law confess to stealing my daughter's college fund. The fund I'd spent 12 years building, the one that was supposed to secure my daughter Lily's future. Congratulations on the house, Amanda. I replied, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. I hope it was worth it. Oh, it was. 5 bedrooms, pool, that gorgeous view of the lake I always wanted. And the best part, you can't do anything about it. The money's already gone through, and the house is in my name. She paused, probably expecting me to break down or threaten her. Don't worry, I'm sure Lily can take up student loans like regular people. I ended the call and looked out my kitchen window, where my 12-year-old daughter was reading in her favorite spot under the old oak tree. Lily, with her father's dark eyes and my determination, had no idea her aunt had just tried to steal her future. But Amanda had made one critical mistake. She didn't know who really controlled that trust. You see, 5 years ago, when my husband Mark died in a car accident, his sister Amanda started showing her true colors. She'd always been entitled, the spoiled youngest child who got everything she wanted. But after Mark's death, she became obsessed with what she called her rightful share of his estate. What Amanda never understood was that Mark had been smarter than she gave him credit for. He knew his sister's tendencies, her history of financial manipulation. So when we set up Lily's college fund, we did it through a special trust with very specific conditions. I picked up my phone and called David Chen, our family lawyer. David, it's Sophia. Amanda finally did it. She accessed the trust account. There was a pause, then a low chuckle. Let me guess, she didn't read the fine print. Apparently not. Can you pull up the trust documents? I want to make sure everything's in place before we proceed. Already on it, David replied. You know, in 15 years of practicing law, I'd never seen anyone fall for this setup quite so perfectly. Your husband was a genius. He was right. Mark had structured the trust so that anyone attempting unauthorized access would trigger a series of legal mechanisms. The money Amanda thought she'd stolen wasn't actually Lily's college fund. That was safely secured in a different account. What she'd taken was the bait, a smaller account we set up specifically because we knew she'd try something like this eventually. My phone buzzed with another call from Amanda. I ignored it, watching as text messages started flooding in. Why aren't you freaking out? You're being weird about this. Did you hear me? I took your money. I smiled, remembering the day Mark and I had set this up. Amanda's going to try something eventually, he'd said, looking worried. She always does. We need to protect Lily's future. Now, 5 years later, his prediction had come true. But we were ready. The doorbell rang, startling me from my thoughts. Through the window, I could see Amanda standing there, perfectly manicured and wearing designer clothes that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Her new BMW was parked in my driveway, another symbol of her materialistic lifestyle. Lily, honey, I called out to my daughter. Can you go up to your room for a bit? I need to talk to Aunt Amanda. Lily gathered her books, giving her aunt a quick wave through the window before heading inside. As she passed me, she squeezed my hand, a gesture so like her father's it made my heart ache. I opened the door, and Amanda strutted in like she owned the place. Why aren't you upset? She demanded, throwing her expensive handbag onto my couch. I just took your precious daughter's college fund, and you're acting like nothing happened. Would you like some coffee? I asked calmly, moving toward the kitchen. I think we should discuss what happens next. What happens next? Amanda scoffed, following me. What's there to discuss? The money's gone. The house is mine. I just came by to see your face when reality finally hits you. I took my time preparing 2 cups of coffee, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. Amanda had always hated silence. It made her nervous, made her talk too much, reveal too much. You know, I said, finally sliding a cup toward her. Mark always said you never read the fine print. Too impatient, he'd say. Too sure you knew better than everyone else. Amanda's perfectly penciled eyebrows drew together. What are you talking about? The trust you accessed, it wasn't Lily's college fund. That's somewhere else, somewhere you'll never find it. What you stole was the trust, Mark, and I set up specifically for you. A trap, you might say, for anyone attempting to steal from our daughter. The color drained from Amanda's face. You're lying. I saw the account details, the balance, everything. Did you read the trust conditions, the legal implications of unauthorized access, the penalties? I took a sip of my coffee, watching as understanding slowly dawn on her face. No, I didn't think so. You set me up. Her voice rose to a shriek. No, Amanda, you set yourself up. We just made sure you couldn't hurt Lily when you did. I pulled out my phone, showing her the string of text messages where she'd bragged about stealing the money. By the way, thanks for providing such detailed written confessions. David says it makes everything much easier. David? David Chen? Why is our lawyer involved? He's not our lawyer, Amanda. He's my lawyer. And right now, he's probably filing all the paperwork to start proceedings against you for attempted theft, fraud, and a few other interesting charges. Amanda's coffee cup clattered against the saucer as her hands began to shake. You can't do this to me, I'm family. Family doesn't steal from children, Amanda. But don't worry, we're just getting started. Would you like to hear what happens next? Amanda's face cycled through emotions, shock, anger, fear, before settling into the smug expression I'd seen too many times before. You're bluffing, she said, reaching for her phone. I'll call my lawyer right now. Please do, I replied, pulling out a thick folder from my desk drawer. While you're at it, ask them to explain this. I slid several documents across the table, watching as her eyes widened at the official letterhead. The trust agreement Mark had created wasn't just clever, it was bulletproof. Any unauthorized access would trigger an immediate transfer of property rights to the trust itself. In other words, Amanda hadn't just stolen money, she'd inadvertently signed her dream house over to us. This isn't possible, she whispered, frantically scrolling through her phone. The house is in my name. I have the deed. Check your closing documents, I suggested. Specifically, the part about property liens and trust obligations. You did read those before signing, right? Her hands trembled as she pulled up the documents on her phone. I could pinpoint the exact moment she found the clause. Her perfectly maintained composure cracked like thin ice. No, 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 she muttered, her voice rising with each word. This can't be happening. Do you know what I went through to get that house? The strings I pulled. I thought about all the times Amanda had flaunted her wealth, her connections, her perfect life. How she'd shown up at Mark's funeral in a new designer dress, complaining about the depressing atmosphere. How she tried to convince me to sell our family home because Lily doesn't need all this space without a father. Actually, I said, reaching for another document, let's talk about those strings you pulled. The loan application you submitted, for instance, the one where you claimed to have assets you didn't actually own. Amanda's head snapped up. How did you? Mark kept excellent records, Amanda. Every time you tried to access his accounts, every document you forged, every lie you told, he documented all of it. Mark wouldn't, she started, then stopped, realization dawning. He never trusted me, did he? He loved you, I corrected. But love doesn't mean letting someone destroy themselves or hurt his daughter. My phone buzzed with a text from David. Everything's filed. Does she know about the recording yet? I smiled, remembering the day Mark had shown me his contingency plans. You need to understand something, he'd said, looking more serious than I'd ever seen him. Amanda won't stop at trying to take what's mine. She'll go after Lily's future too. We need to be ready. There's more, I told Amanda, who was still staring at her phone in disbelief. Remember that conversation you had with your friend Jessica last month? The one about how you plan to liberate Lily's college fund. Her head snapped up. You recorded me? No, Jessica did. Turns out she has a conscience. She sent me everything. The texts, the voice messages, your detailed plans to access the trust. She even documented your celebration lunch today, where you bragged about stealing from your niece. Amanda's perfectly manicured nails dug into her palms. Jessica would never betray me like that. Really? Check your social media. She grabbed her phone, pulling up Instagram. Jessica, her supposed best friend, had just posted a lengthy statement distancing herself from Amanda's actions, complete with screenshots of their conversations. You turned my best friend against me. Amanda's voice cracked. No, your actions did that. Jessica has a daughter too, remember. When she realized what you were planning, she couldn't stay quiet. The doorbell rang again, making Amanda jump. Through the window, I could see David standing there, briefcase in hand. That would be my lawyer, I said, standing up. I think it's time we discussed your options. Amanda's designer heels clicked against my hardwood floors as she paced. Options? What options? You've destroyed everything. No, Amanda. You did that yourself. But because you're family, we're offering you a choice. David entered, nodding professionally to Amanda before setting his briefcase on the table. Ms. Martinez, I've prepared both sets of documents as requested. Both sets? Amanda asked, her voice small. I laid out 2 folders. Option 1. We proceed with criminal charges. The trust agreement, Jessica's evidence, your own confessions. It's all very clear. You attempted to steal from a minor, committed fraud, and violated multiple trust conditions. Amanda's perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide how pale she'd become. And option 2. You sign the house over to the trust officially. No legal battles. No attempts to fight it. You make a public apology to Lily, admitting what you tried to do. And you agree to financial oversight and counseling. Counseling, she spat. I'm not crazy. No, but you're destructive. And if you want to maintain any relationship with this family, you need help. David cleared his throat. I should mention that several of your other financial dealings have come under scrutiny. The trust audit revealed some concerning patterns. Amanda sank into a chair, her designer outfit suddenly looking like a costume she'd outgrown. How long have you been planning this? We haven't been planning anything, Amanda. We've been protecting ourselves from you. There's a difference. Through the window, I could see Lily still reading in her spot under the oak tree, completely unaware of the drama unfolding inside. Just like her father, she had a way of finding peace in chaos. She looks just like him, Amanda whispered, following my gaze. For the first time since Mark's death, I heard genuine emotion in her voice. I miss him so much. I know you do, we all do, but trying to hurt his daughter won't bring him back. Amanda's carefully constructed facade finally cracked. Tears streaked down her cheeks, smearing her expensive mascara. I thought if I had the house, the lifestyle he had, maybe I'd feel close to him again. Mark's life wasn't about houses or money, Amanda. It was about protecting the people he loved, even from themselves. She stared at the 2 folders on the table, years of choices and consequences laid out in legal language and official stamps. If I sign, if I choose option 2, will you help me? Yes, I said simply, because that's what Mark would have wanted. David pushed the second folder toward her, pointing out where to sign. As Amanda's shaking hand moved across the papers, I felt a weight lift, not just from the resolution of this crisis, but from finally fulfilling Mark's last wish, protecting both his daughter and his sister, even if protecting them looked very different. What happens now? Amanda asked, setting down the pen. Now, I said, standing up, we start fixing what's broken, not just the trust or the house, but our family. Through the window, Lily waved at us, her father's smile bright on her face, reminding me that sometimes the best revenge isn't punishment, it's restoration. 6 months after Amanda signed those papers, I stood in the driveway of what was supposed to be her dream house. The property had been sold, the proceeds properly deposited into Lily's actual college fund, and Amanda had begun the long process of rebuilding, not just her life, but her relationships. The transformation wasn't instant, and it certainly wasn't easy. The first month of financial counseling had been especially rough. Amanda had to face not just her spending habits, but the deep-seated issues driving them. Her counselor, Dr. Martinez, no relation, helped her understand how Mark's death had triggered a spiral of destructive behavior. I always felt like I was competing with you, Amanda admitted during one of our mandated family sessions. Mark had everything figured out, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter, the perfect life. I thought if I could just get all the right things, I'd feel as successful as he was. Lily, who had finally learned the full story, showed a maturity beyond her years. Dad always said things don't make you successful, Aunt Amanda. The way you treat people does. Those words, so similar to Mark's own philosophy, hit Amanda harder than any legal consequence could have. The public apology we'd required came in the form of a social media post that shocked our entire family circle. Amanda detailed her actions, her regret, and her commitment to change. The responses ranged from supportive to scathing, but she left it up, accepting responsibility for the first time in her life. "I'm not proud of what I did," she wrote. "I tried to steal my niece's future because I couldn't face my own past. But thanks to my late brother's foresight and my sister-in-law's wisdom, I've been given a chance to make things right." Jessica, whose evidence had been crucial in our case, reached out to Amanda after the post. Their friendship would never be the same, but they began a cautious reconciliation built on honesty rather than shared materialism. The most significant change came 3 months into Amanda's financial oversight program. She sold her designer wardrobe, her luxury car, and moved into a modest apartment. The proceeds went toward paying back other debts we discovered during the trust audit. "It's strange," she told me over coffee one morning, wearing simple jeans and a sweater instead of her usual designer outfit. "I always thought losing my stuff would make me feel worse, but I actually feel lighter." Lily, ever her father's daughter, had started inviting Amanda to her soccer games. At first, Amanda seemed uncomfortable in the aluminum bleachers among the other parents, but gradually she learned to cheer for Lily's team without wondering what everyone was wearing or driving. One Saturday, after a particularly exciting game, I overheard Lily telling her aunt about her college dreams. "I want to study environmental law," she explained. "Dad always said the most important things in life are the ones you protect." Amanda's eyes welled up. "He was right, sweetie. I wish I'd understood that sooner." The trust's legal team continued monitoring Amanda's finances, but their reports showed consistent improvement. She'd taken a job at a local nonprofit, earning less than her previous positions but finding satisfaction in honest work. "Mark would be proud of you," I told her after she completed her first month at the new job. "Not because you're struggling, but because you're finally facing that struggle with dignity." She fingered the simple locket she now wore, a gift from Mark years ago that she'd previously dismissed as too plain. "I found some of his old letters," she said quietly. "He tried to warn me about my spending, my choices. I was too proud to listen." Yesterday marked exactly 6 months since that day in my kitchen when Amanda learned about the trust's true nature. We gathered for a family dinner, not at a fancy restaurant, but in my backyard around the old picnic table Mark had built. Amanda brought a homemade lasagna, having learned to cook instead of relying on expensive takeout. Lily helped her carry it to the table, the two of them laughing about some shared joke. The sound of their laughter, so natural and unforced, would have made Mark smile. After dinner, Amanda handed me an envelope. Inside was her latest financial report, showing she'd stuck to her budget for the 6th straight month. But there was something else. A letter she'd written to Mark. "I want you to keep this," she said, her voice steady. "You and Lily were the ones he trusted, and now I understand why." The letter was honest, raw, and deeply personal. She apologized for trying to steal from his daughter, for dishonoring his memory with her actions, and for taking so long to learn the lessons he tried to teach her in life. "I always thought you were just lucky," she wrote, "but now I understand that everything you had, you built through integrity and love. I'm finally ready to learn from your example, even if you're not here to see it." As the sun set over our backyard, casting long shadows across Mark's old oak tree, I watched Amanda help Lily clear the dishes. They moved in comfortable synchronization, aunt and niece, their relationship transformed by truth and consequences into something genuine. "Mom," Lily said later as we got ready for bed, "do you think Dad knew this would happen? That Aunt Amanda would try to take the money." I sat on the edge of her bed, thinking about Mark's meticulous planning, his careful protection of our daughter's future, and his unwavering hope that his sister would eventually find her way. "Your dad knew people better than they knew themselves sometimes," I replied. "He didn't just protect you from Amanda, he protected Amanda from herself." Lily nodded, wise beyond her years. "Like when he used to let me make mistakes but always had a way to fix them if they got too big." Exactly like that. Today, as I update the trust documents to reflect all the changes these 6 months have brought, I can't help but feel grateful for Mark's foresight. The trust wasn't just about protecting money. It was about protecting family even when that protection had to take an unexpected form. Amanda's journey isn't over. She still has counseling sessions, financial oversight, and years of habits to overcome. But watching her with Lily now, seeing the genuine bond forming between them, I know we made the right choice in offering her a path to redemption rather than just punishment. Mark's photo sits on my desk as I work, his smile knowing and kind. He always said family was worth fighting for, especially when, that fight meant tough love and hard truths. You were right, my love, I whispered to his picture. Sometimes the best way to protect someone is to let them face the consequences of their actions while leaving the door open for them to come home. Through my window, I can see Lily and Amanda planting flowers under the old oak tree, building something new in the shadow of what was lost. It's not the ending any of us expected, but maybe it's the one Mark hoped for all along.